Man, this is a good looking bunch.
And we're live.
Oh, good. Perfect way
I'm
to
a
go live.
fan.
Are we live right now for real?
I think
Oh, we
so.
are. Hi. Welcome, everybody. We're live. This is what happens when we don't have AJ. We're just randomly talking, and then all of a sudden we're live on Twitch, and it's like, oh my God, hello. But hello, everybody, and welcome to our 16th episode of Esports and Coffee. Tonight we have another episode of Coffee Talk with some amazing special guests that we can't wait to introduce to you. Um, but in general, want to take a pause, take a breath, and hope that everybody's doing well. I cannot believe that summer is almost over and that we're nearing the end of August, and that is so crazy. I feel like we waited for it for a long time and that it went really fast, and I don't understand how to slow down the fun times. But summer is coming to an end. And as we prepare for upcoming competitive seasons and school starting, we wanted to make sure we had another episode in our Coffee Talk series where we're bringing in expert voices from all around our communities to really help support the mission that we have at hand with Esports and Coffee, which is to do better. And today we are talking about how to stand up for yourself and others, including how to be a strong ally, why representation matters, and what you can do to be a support system to those around you. We do have some amazing guests with us here today, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves. So, what you guys will do is I'm going to call somebody and you'll introduce yourself, and then you'll pick who goes next until everybody goes. Don't pull a Scott Dorn and leave somebody off because it is,
He's never
rough
going to
and
leave that down.
never going to live that down. So why don't we start with Alyssa since she saved the day this morning by getting us all set up on stream. So Alyssa, you take it away.
Awesome. Well, hello. I do know how to Google. That is what I did. I'm Alyssa Duran. I'm the coordinator of esports competition over at Shenandoah University, and I'm excited to be here and talk with everyone here. I am going to throw it over to Karen.
Hey everyone, Karen Ruggles. I teach at DeSales University, which is about an hour north of Philadelphia and about an hour west of, hour and a half west of New York City. And I teach in the computer science department. My specialty is 3D animation and digital art. And I've been doing that. This will be my 11th year teaching. I also serve my university as the varsity esports program director, where we play Valorant, League of Legends, and Overwatch. We had a little bit of a chess thing kind of bubbling up, but I think it's simmering back down. So we'll see. It's always fun to see what the students are excited about. But excited to be a part of this conversation today. And I'm going to throw it to Danielle.
Oh, on the
Hello.
spot.
On the spot.
Hello, that's me. I guess that's my name. So I am Danielle Sarikis. I am part of the co-founders of our esports and coffee crew here. I also coach at Lawrence Technological University. And I almost was late, so I was on time, guys. So then I am gonna throw it over to my fellow Michigan friend. He's at an okay school, Bilski.
Appreciate it, Danielle. My name is Chris Bilski. I am the director of esports at Michigan State University, basically responsible for everything and anything esports on campus, from campus events to our varsity teams to helping to mentor the club on campus. I'll pass it to Jackie.
Hi. I am running our stream tonight, so I'm a little frazzled. AJ is our dedicated stream runner, and without her, I love her, but I'm a little out of places at the moment. I am the current STEM and esports TOSA for Minneapolis Public Schools. I just started my new job this coming week, so I'm very excited to be working and transitioning to high school and esports. Thank you so much. I'm going to pass it to Joni.
Hi. So I'm Joni. I'm the CEO at Women in Games International. I was going to do that company, sorry. So we are a nonprofit focused on getting more women, non-binary, and femme-identifying professionals in the games industry. And we count the games industry as video game, tabletop, and esports. So really trying to just get more diversity and inclusion throughout. I'm also an ambassador for Go Misfit Nation, if you want to check them out. And I'm a Radiant Agent. So it's a platform to try to get more women into competitive esports. I'm also an advisor at the Esports Clutch, which is a competition to get more ideas around esports and opportunities to expand what that looks like. And I'm on the board for the Cal State esports curriculum to help get more esports into colleges. So excited to be here. I'm gonna pass it back to, sorry.
Yes, awesome. Well, I'm Sari. Aside from following Joni around to anything that she does and anywhere that she goes and any organization that she's a part of, I also work at Full Sail University, where I oversee all of their esports efforts. And I help do esports and coffee with these other two lovely ladies. And in my typical traditional fashion, since AJ can't be with us today because she's feeling a bit under the weather, here comes my AJ impression. I can't get the laugh, but I'm going to say, hi, everyone. Oh, it's so good to have you all here. I've just been here with my Oddishes and my Pokemons and all of the things that I could ever possibly need, and my cozy games, and I can't wait. I'm on my way after this to McDonald's to definitely get a McFlurry. I'll report back on which flavor that I get because I know all the ins and outs of the best McFlurry flavors that there could ever possibly be. And I am really great, and I think everything is funny, and I'm the biggest support system for everyone around me. And I work at NACE, and I do literally everything for them. And so that's me. I'm AJ, and I'm really doing great today.
I also just want to reiterate that AJ is a pinnacle part of Esports and Coffee, and she is working so hard with NACE to try and get everyone within this call almost ready for the season to start. So over the next year, if you see other people subbing for Sari or Danielle or myself, I think that's part of Esports and Coffee, is that we're not always going to be here every single week, and we appreciate each and one of you to come on and just talk, because that's what we want our community to be, is to have expression and to be able to openly talk. So I appreciate you all being here.
Amen.
You can always check how accurate the impression was by joining the Discord.
See, we paid Karen to say that.
Thanks, I'll cash in later, guys.
Yeah. So you'll get royalties, don't worry. So obviously we're going to talk about today a few things, but we're often hear that representation matters, right? I think a lot of us don't see necessarily people like us, and even when we do, it's each other, right? So we kind of congregate to like-minded or like gender people, I guess, I suppose. But we don't spend enough time diving into why representation matters. And what does that statement mean to you guys? Gals and guy. You gotta change your vocabulary. It's a very Midwestern thing to say guys.
Alyssa, you took your camera off. You took your mic off. You got this.
Yes, I'll go first. I also am guilty of saying guys as a general term, being from the Midwest.
Mm-hmm.
Hey guys. Yeah, hey guys. So in talking about why representation matters, so I'm younger in the esports industry, growing up, I never saw a lot of girls in the gaming industry. And as I got more involved with collegiate esports, with working various positions in esports, I have loved joining these groups where I do see more females or people that look like myself in this industry. And I find that especially when I was newer, what the benefit of that was that I was seeing people like myself. And so I could see myself pursuing this path. If there's nobody that looks like me, I look at whatever it is and I say, oh, that's kind of cool, but I don't know if that's for me. So when you see somebody that looks like you see that as an opportunity for yourself.
Yeah, I agree. Awesome. I think that's why, Jackie and I kind of, I sought her out, but I seek a lot of people out. I think I'm aggressive with you're going to be my friend now. So I think that coming into esports was terrified. There's, first of all, the whole imposter syndrome, but I've been, reading books on leadership and such. And, most of the time when you look at higher up roles, those people don't even know how to schedule or write an email. And so like, why do we have imposter syndrome? Because you're very, very capable, and you look at them and their like administrative assistants are running literally everything. So it kind of opens your eyes when you look at that way. But Jackie and I, were, I think our first entire conversation was surrounded around NACE. And I was like, oh my goodness, I joined another call and there's a girl here. How is that even possible? And then we continued to kind of like float along together with various things. And then this kind of grew. So it was pretty awesome. And even Joni, you spoke at NACE, and I spoke with her after, and we grew up very similar, which I think neither of us knew that. And so it's just, which we'll chat another time about further and dive into over, fermented liquids. So.
Chris,
Absolutely. And
go ahead.
Sorry.
No, you go for it.
Oh, so we both did grow up, in poverty, and that was a huge thing, is the idea that you kind of create your own glass ceiling. And so when you don't have that representation, when you don't have somebody who looks like you or who has a similar background who's successful, it's hard to see yourself as successful. And so it's kind of hard to plan your future or to reach for these goals that you've been told your whole life are unattainable. And when people keep telling you no, it's easy to start repeating the word no in your head, like, why even ask, because somebody's already going to say no to me. And so having that representation, having somebody who either looks like you or who has a similar background to you, or who has these ambitions and these goals, who are doing the thing and having these opportunities and creating this space, is so powerful to not just help you see yourself in that space and help others see themselves in that space, but also to kind of help remove that unconscious bias that other people may have been creating. And so there was a real glass ceiling that was in that space as well. So it's just such a powerful way to bring so many different perspectives to the table and have new conversations about the same topic. And definitely something that we really promote, for sure.
That's awesome. I agree with that. And Eugene said in chat, which I think is a really, of course, in pure Eugene fashion, perfectly eloquent single sentence that summarizes everything that will take me 7 paragraphs to say. But he says, you can't be what you can't see. And it's that really important mindset of, imagine what the world can be like if you are seen for the first time, or you can kind of picture yourself being it for the first time. The first time I ever did a panel was because AJ made me do a panel. I just kept pushing her to Bennett. I said, I think you mean Bennett. You probably want Bennett. And she's like, I do not want Bennett. I love Bennett, but he has done a bunch of panels and I want you. I said, no, I'm the behind the scenes person. And I don't think I would have ever been able to even think that I would be someone that anybody would want to listen to. And maybe I still have not, but it's that there was none of us. And so it never even crossed my mind. Like it just, I don't know, it didn't even really kind of resonate with me. And the first step to acceptance is acknowledgement. And so if we're acknowledging that this is who is in this space, then that's where hopefully it can spread and people can really accept people in that space.
I want to listen to you.
Thank you.
I always want to listen to you too.
That's why we're here.
Chris, I want to get your perspective on this too, because we thank you for coming on and chatting with us. What does this mean to you?
So first, thank you for having me. Like, I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. Long-time viewer, first-time caller. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. And I also like when we having these conversations, like I think it's worth being said that I am not really a marginalized group here, right? So I'm coming at this from a perspective that where for many people it's personal, but for me, I've had the fortune of being pretty much, I'm a white middle-class straight male, right? Like I don't fit any of the kind of the marginalized groups in a lot of ways. But what I think of when I look at these opportunities, right, for me, it's such an empowering thing to see people who are in the positions that you want to be in, right? Like the tangibleness of it, the ability to see it, to feel it. It's empowering, and it's a validation of that opportunity is real and you can reach that opportunity. And so that's why I think that, yes, having these opportunities out there are very important, very powerful. Being for my daughter, I want her to be able to see all of these opportunities for her as well, to see that they're real, that something that is achievable.
I want to again thank you for coming on, because you really have been a supporter of us from like day one. You really have. You're always in the chat or a lurker, always supporting us on Twitter. And when social media counts so much for impressions or people reaching out and just getting the word out, you've been a huge contributor, an ally. And that's what we're here to talk about, is speaking up, but also allies. And my little tidbit for what representation matters: I was part of the Wiggy mentorship program this past month, and one of the things that popped up was, and I'm really glad it did, there was, so I'm 36, transparent. I didn't get into my job until I was like 31. So I'm on the older spectrum of esports, and I'm proud to say that I just didn't find my way until I was after my 30s. In the mentorship program, there was a lot of individuals that were still in their 20s. They're like, am I too old for this? Should I even be starting to transition a new job? It's like, yes, right?
You're so cute.
I know. No, but one of the mentees.
Not you. You are cute, but they're
thanks.
too cute. Sorry. Go.
One of the mentees said you have to have thick skin to be in this industry. And it is my goal this year to represent that you don't need thick skin. We need to change that narrative, and it's not appropriate for someone to say you need to have thick skin in this industry. I'm a very emotional person. I've been on multiple calls with people after things where I've cried or frustrated, and I can't help it. My emotions, I really can't. They get the better of me sometimes, but it's important to know that you don't need thick skin, and I'm going to make that change this year. So that's my little thing. We can move forward now. I'm great at transitions.
I want to touch on a few things. So first of all, the advent of using the moniker of guys. So just a little like a side story for those of us who do use like, hey guys, So I used to start all of my classes like, all right guys, let's get started, and then I would end the class with, okay ladies, have a great day. And I had one young gentleman who came up to me at the end of a class and was like, why do you keep saying that? And I'm like, well, I mean, all of you, I want all of you to have a good day, but, just because I use guys and that's a socially acceptable term, it's just sort of drawing attention to this idea that women are marginalized in this unified form of vernacular speech. And it's not anything to like push any type of agenda or anything. It's just like, hey, did you ever think about that? And I don't take offense to it at all. I know some people might. And I mean, that's the part of agency, which I really wanted to touch on today, which I really appreciate, Chris, you coming on. First of all, huge fan. Second of all, like your presence is just the pinnacle of where this community needs to be, because there are allies who have strong positions who amplify. And that aspect of amplification, it's something that we as women do, or, marginalize, but also we do need allies. Like it's a faster way to the top. I'm going to be honest. I've definitely been in many professional situations where I have said one thing and then a man came after me and said the exact same thing, and everyone gave credit to the man. Everyone, right? Women included. Like this is not just like a gender thing it's just how it all works, and it gets very frustrating very quickly. And burnout is a thing, right? But, Chris, I see you as that ally because you amplify these spaces, and it's not just you in front of everybody saying, hey, look at me, I'm amazing, because you are, but you also say, have you seen this talk? Share this talk. You should go to this talk. You look at your students and you say, okay, well, how can we better, represent who's here? And I think that idea of agency is so important because, like Joni was saying before, this idea, all of my students, I hesitate to think of just one student who's like pure confidence, and if they are, they need to get like knocked down a little bit. I'm going to be honest. Most of my students come from a place where they're afraid to ask questions. They think they're going to be wrong in front of their peers. They think they're going to get embarrassed. And there's a lot of insecurity in a way that I think as a community, we are in a great position to build them up towards a better future. And what better way to do that by having many, many different voices so that they can see, okay, well, this person I have no commonality with them. We don't come from the same place. We don't identify with the same stuff. We're different politically, whatever it is. But they made a really good point. And I think that that's the whole point of saying, well, in this space, she has agency, he has agency, they have agency, and we can all listen to everybody and move forward together. And even if you have a disagreement, you can still find, the arena to be your place of like, let's play together. So I really think for me that term of agency has really just kind of been brewing in, I don't know, Jackie, the hour that we talked. I don't know. I got all fired up. I'm sorry.
No, it has. And that's why I'm so happy to have everyone on here. Because that's why it, like I said before, our conversation can be organic and just roll with it. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I could listen to Karen Ruggles
so good.
Just talk forever. Literally, like I feel like I talk sometimes, and I was just on a panel for Esports U, and I feel like there was so much more that I could have said or wanted to say, but it just doesn't happen. And then when I hear Karen Ruggles speaks, and I'm like, can you just like come speak instead of me? Because I literally could listen to because what you say is just so profound, and it's spot on too. Like you just address the issues that I personally want to. At the same time, I always forget or don't know how to, and you do it naturally.
It sounds like what you're saying is that by Karen being here, it's let you realize that hearing her is empowering you and making you feel inspired to get out there and say what you need to say. Maybe like representation matters or something like that.
Full circle moment.
I know. I will say the hey guys thing is interesting. I have tried to make a conscious effort I try to keep my goals like realistic. So my biggest goal is I don't ever want to say ladies and gentlemen ever again. Like that's the thing I want to wipe from my vocabulary. And it's such a vanilla minor thing that has never meant any sort of offense, but it is so unbelievably exclusive that I just really, that's where I'm starting, right? So like again, our goal here always is to do better. And so my do better, that's where I'm starting. I've heard a girl, Shay, that I work with that I love so much. She hosts some things for us sometimes, and she'll always say, ladies, like if her script, like on the prompter says, ladies and gentlemen, she'll say, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between. And just to try to like detach from it. But that's my like starting point, right? Like my goal is to neutralize all communication, but it's ingrained in us a lot. And it's like what everybody's been saying. So I'm starting with one. My one is no more ladies and gentlemen. And then from there, hopefully I can get better and we'll go to different points. But that's, setting something that's like small that you can kind of bite off and not be overwhelming.
It's like Sergio says, 1% better every day.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think you bring up a really good point, because I find that a lot of times when I speak to people about, maybe they are like Chris, like a white guy who doesn't have, maybe not like Chris in this regard, but like maybe there isn't a whole lot of like experience there. They want to do the right thing, but they just don't know where to start. You have a lot of this like potential ally, and it could be for a lot of things. There are a lot of things that I don't know about, and I'm trying to learn more and be more supportive. And I think that the point of I just want to do like one thing, and that can lead to another thing, and that can lead to another thing. And language can be a thing. And also just, I'm a big proponent of just trying to like put yourself in a space of listening and acceptance, so that, I've been called out before by a friend who we were talking, they were like, real quick, don't say that. And I'm like, cool, thanks for letting me know. And it just like having this position of comfort where someone who hears something that might offend them, or they know better than me, they feel comfortable to just real quick, let me just have a moment with you, because I know you trust me and I trust you that you're trying to do the right thing. You're not trying to come from a space of offense or anything like that. So I feel like if that was more ingrained in our culture, where people would feel comfortable speaking out, and also that they wouldn't be like, what do you mean I can't say that? Like just, I don't know. I don't know what you guys have experienced that, or if that's something that you think is even possible.
Yeah, we actually have an actionable allyship workshop, and it's completely focused on that. And it was a request from our community to say, how do I be a better ally? What do I say? Who do I say it to? When do I say something? And how do I approach the conversation? And it's such a powerful thing. We also have Dear Ally, which is an advice column, kind of like Dear Abby, but it's an opportunity for people to ask questions. I'm trying to hire more diverse candidates, but I don't want people to feel like they're a diversity hire. So how do I approach this conversation, or how do I approach this pitch? How do I respond when somebody says something that I know it's inappropriate, but it's not directed to me? How do I kind of make sure that it's I'm being an ally and I'm not being performative? And I think there's a huge opportunity to just kind of continue those conversations and make sure that it's moving forward. With our esports mentorship program, we actually had the most male identifying candidates apply to be both mentors and speakers than we've ever had on any other wiki program. And to me, that kind of said two things. And one is that men are seeing that there can be a change and they want to be part of that change, but also that they want this change, that this is something we want more inclusion in esports. We want to see it across the board. We want to see more people in this space, and we want to be, creating those conversations and supporting people into getting into these new roles. And it's such a powerful thing to see that now versus, 2005, 2006 kind of time period. It's very different. And I think a lot of new games and just new opportunities and new conversations have really helped move things forward.
Yeah, I love everything that Wiggy puts together, and I love how the programs continue to evolve. Like, I've participated in the program a few times, but every time there's something new because you're learning things and you apply it right away. And it's awesome because you're always getting knowledge and information and understanding out of it. And what I love so much too, Joni, about what you do and how you lead is when you don't know the answer, you will say, I actually never thought of that, and I don't have the answer. To anybody else in the room have any sort of thoughts on that? And that's how the discussion continues to evolve. And that's how we always hear from all the people, the different areas and different walks of life that we're supposed to hear from to make progress and to make it a well-rounded approach. And it's, in allyship in general, it's your focus. My focus is not on making sure that all middle-aged white Jewish women are heard. My focus is on making sure all voices are heard. And that's, everybody that I know, that I care about, that I'm close to, that's the focus. That's why Chris is here. That's why Eugene, who is going to be here, but it's also a bit under the weather. Sean's been super supportive. Antor's always been super supportive. Jacob and Bennett, super supportive. That's why they're here, because that might not be their community that we're talking about, but they want that a better world for all of us exists. I want to see more people of color as content creators that are successful and that are earning money. Doesn't have to be my community to know that that's something that's really needed in inclusion efforts and in the whole way that we're adapting and evolving.
Yeah,
go ahead, Chris. Yeah.
No, I was going to say that, I think one of the points that was brought up earlier is really important, that a lot of people who are potential allies or have a desire to be allies don't know where to start, right? And having those first conversations with people can be difficult, right? It's like having somebody that you can trust, that's a safe space, that you can ask the questions that you want to ask without feeling like you're going to be judged or feeling like you're touching a hot stove with some of the topics that you're reaching out to about, right? And so, for me, when I think about myself as an ally, my number one goal, or my number one thing that I always start with, is listening. And that's a big part of why, I try to tune into Sports and Coffee as much as I possibly can, right? Because I think it's really important to listen and hear people's voices and understand their stories and their experiences and what they're going through. Because for somebody in my position and positions that a lot of us here hold, right, I want to collect as much information as I can before I make decisions on how I can make something better. Right. And so listening and hearing about and trying to truly understand the problems and experiences, until I do that, I can't make the best decisions possible to try to take action on that and try to make that better. So I think listening is really, really important first step for anybody who's looking to be an ally.
And Chris, I think too, being uncomfortable, because, going to these talks where it's a, you go to a conference like diversity in whatever your field is, and you're the only guy in the room, or, whatever the case may be, and hearing some things that you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. And feeling that sense of like, wow, this is a problem. And you get uncomfortable by hearing some of the stories. And that's where I think you can step it up to be an ally, and listening in those uncomfortable situations and pushing past that to stand next to that person, and when appropriate, like, make space. Because if you are in the room and there's someone else not in the room, then you can kind of like shove aside a little bit and be like, well, did you hear from this person? Because those things do happen, and they are some of the reasons why, like, there's a reason why the foot in the door, it's the more we can get into spaces and have minds that are open to this type of stuff is going to be really important.
Yeah, I 1,000% agree. Like, just because, I'm not somebody who's been personally impacted doesn't mean that it's not something where I can have an impact on others, right? Just because I'm not a marginalized group doesn't mean that I can't have an impact on bettering the state of other marginalized groups, whether it's on campus or, fortunately I'm in a position here at Michigan State, right? Like, we have a huge brand. Like, it's something that when we do things, people pay attention. And it's kind of that like opportunity of, I know this is cheesy, but like, it's like with great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah.
Whole idea right
You aren't
here,
wrong.
right? It's
You're
so
not wrong. It's true.
You're right.
so like, I am very much purposeful in, like, when I'm thinking about what I want my program to be, what I want my program to look like, and the things that we're doing with our program. I understand that there are ripple effects from the things that we are doing beyond just my campus, right? Like, I posted this on Twitter yesterday, right? Like, be the change you want to be in collegiate esports, right? And I take that very seriously. Like, I'm a huge principles person. Like, I very much am cognizant of what I'm doing is being seen and could possibly be replicated somewhere else. So I want to be really proud of the things that we're doing here.
I really
You're doing
like. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, and you're doing amazing things, Bilski. I know you're big proponent of not only esports and coffee, but you include me sometimes in things that I didn't know about. For instance, Riptide. Like, I knew about it, but I didn't know fully what it is. But just being that person, continuing to be that person. A lot of us, I mean, everybody gets stepped over in some sense of the word, but it kind of happens to like, that's happened to me. Like, no, I'm gonna be as PC as I can on stream about this. I worked my ass off. I got passed up on something, and I really don't want to say because I'm a woman, but all signs point to that. Like, in this last year, so knowing that that's going to happen to us, and I am a loud person. We all know that. I mean, even athletics. That they made the joke the other day that out of all the coaches, esports removed, I'm the loudest in the room. And if it happens to me, it's going to happen to the quiet people. So what are we going to do as a group, ally, outgoing people, quiet people, to make a difference? I think NACE, looking at NACE between women of NACE last year and this year is a huge difference. And I think those women existed. I just don't think that they thought that they would feel comfortable at a conference full of men, and I don't want to say men, that's unfair, but like, they might not have felt comfortable because it's hard being one of the few only people in the room. So like Karen said, yes, being an ally means you're here and you're the only man in the room, but we've been the only women in the room for how long? So like, it's kind of flipping the narrative. So it's awesome that you're doing it. Keep fucking doing it, man. I'll be the first to drop the F-bomb. This is,
I'll say that real quick. I just to that point is, I even find it in myself in going into this, when we knew that Eugene unfortunately was not able to join us. My first thought in my head was, well, we should find another guy so that Chris isn't the only one. And then I was like, what? That's the antithesis of everything we're here trying to teach, and why is that still ingrained in me? And I have to try to shake that off. And I was able to check myself before saying it, but that is the first thing that goes through my head. And it's, learned and you're trying to kind of get through it. But it's interesting because, I'm as outspoken as anybody. And I was like, oh my God, we have to find another guy. It's like, no, what? Why do we have to do that? Why am I doing that? And it's just kind of sticks with you, and you got to make it an intention to do better, an intention to change behavior,
Okay, so I want to bring up Alyssa just a little bit. And a big hurdle with marginalized communities is the face that voices were heard. What are some simple ways you can help raise those unheard voices in our day-to-day lives? Specifically, because I think you are the number one person that works with students the most, I think besides Danielle. I think you're in it the most with the students.
Yeah. So I work directly with all of our competitive teams. So we have 7 teams at Shenandoah. So I am working directly with students on the day-to-day. And I was thinking about this question of like, how do you raise voices? Like, how do you make sure everybody is included? And it's almost a hard question because you think it needs to be something completely novel. But on a day-to-day basis, it's really respecting other people. Like if you are respecting every single person and understanding that everybody comes from a different background, everybody has different beliefs, but they all have this space where we're enjoying something together. So here it's we're all gaming together, we're all competing, we all want to do better. We all are striving for the same thing. We might have a different opinion on how to go about it. We might have different skill levels because we come from different places, different thoughts, and building a space where I treat myself, I should be a role model for everybody, right? Because I'm working day to day with students. So I make sure that I am respectful towards everybody in the room, whether it's a brand new student, a student that's been here for 5 years, or a grad student, it's the staff members that walk in. You treat everybody the same and you make sure that they're included on conversations. And regardless on whether I think an issue is the biggest deal or not, I make sure that person is heard and I can understand where they're coming from and like the ramifications of that. And I think by showing that and then encouraging it in my student leaders, it trickles through everybody because nobody wants to be that guy that's being rude to everybody. You see people being respectful, it fosters that environment. It can be difficult in terms of having so many people in a space that come from different places, different backgrounds. And what I found helpful is helping people connect on something that everyone has in common. Luckily, we're in a space where everybody likes gaming, but I play Smash, I play Valorant. How do we get along? And it can be finding a specific interest that they both enjoy and getting them to start a conversation. And now they might have disagreed on a lot of things, but now they have this friend that they can learn from. So,
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I think to like what you said, I think it starts at the top, right? Like, or at the leader of the whole program, or you. Like, I know Joey was there, but Joey's dead to us.
R.I.P.
Yeah,
not actually dead.
Yeah, no, just kidding.
I'm not a part of this.
We love Joey. It's okay.
We love Joey.
I would not exist if I gave him crap. So like I think it starts at the top where like you set the tone for your whole program. I've seen quite a few people who are I shouldn't say quite a few, couple people who like they are very ego driven, and that means their students fall in line with ego as well. And you might not think it's you, but it is in fact you. And so one of the things that's very hard, I set the tone with my students is like, hey, look, we all know how it feels to lose. Do we not? Yes, we know how it feels to lose. So if we do win, we win with grace, and then we can celebrate our ass off on the bus. Nobody sees it, and it's fine. But see, I play traditional sports, and I know how that same thing happened. There's a point that it's over celebration. We're making people feel like not complete shit, right? So, and I know that's more of not just an allyship, that's more of a holistic like team approach, because I mean I only have 3 women on my roster. One is, I gotta give her a shout out, NACE Women or Female Student of the Year. She's gonna tote that title for the whole year. We thank you, NACE membership. You made her freaking year. So, but people like her, the fact that she gets an award and that means so much to her should be the whole reason we continue to have these conversations and continue to promote those sorts of students and people.
Yeah, I think as long as we have people who aren't being heard, we have an obligation to raising those voices, no matter which community that we come from. So there's a lot of conversation in chat. I'm going to read what Antor wrote because I could not have said it better. And I think it is really perfectly stated. Just to kind of sum up everything that we're talking about today, because people are kind of dropping in and out. We got a big crowd today. And Adam says, we have a very significant problem in the US with toxicity in the gaming and esports industry towards people of marginalized genders as well as minority groups. So talking about lifting those individuals up is a pivotal conversation to have and to work towards. And I think that is so perfectly succinct and perfectly stated, and important to note that we all work in a space that really in an industry that's in development right now. Most of us joined it when it wasn't really formed and it wasn't really formalized, and even now it is evolving every day. The ongoing thing that we say, and I have to explain to people not in this space, is like there's no way to learn everything about esports and then go work in esports. You have to relearn and recommit to learning this industry every day. Things are changing, things are evolving, and things are moving. But that is so exciting, because how often do you have the opportunity to work in an industry that's being shaped and being formed while you're in it? And to me, that is even more so why changing the space for us and changing the toxicity issue, or changing the conversation for our industry is so important, because outside of esports and gaming, we have the ability to be the representation that other groups need to see and the representation that other people need to have as it extends beyond where we are. We're building our industry right now all together, and we have the ability to build it inclusive and build it where everybody has a voice and build it where everybody can talk and build it where everybody has equal footing and there's equity throughout everything that we do. We're not just correcting an old problem. We're shaping the future. And there's a lot of industries that have a huge uphill battle to do that. I would say traditional sports might, but in gaming and esports, we have less of an uphill battle because we are the ones that are building it right now and we're in it. And if we build it the right way, we can be that representation for other organizations and other groups and other communities outside of the world that we live in.
So I just want to add on to that, and it's because of Haley Khan, your comment too, and our topic is very broad. Like we only schedule these for an hour. I wish we scheduled them for more than that, but we all have lives, work-life balance, so our topic is very broad. So if you would like us to get into the nitty-gritty of a certain topic, join our Discord and engage in those topics, and then we can break it down even more. We can have that fine-tuned discussion as to what you just posted in your comment. But I think it's just ingenuous as to what you said. We're not just here to be nice people. I feel like all of us have had very, not Karen, but Karen vibes. But I feel like we all have those every day, and our goal is to just do better in the esports community. We're not talking about the world as a whole. We're not going to change that at all. In the esports community specifically, it's just very hard for even myself to come and talk, and Sari specifically, before we even started this group, didn't seem like she had a voice. This last year, how many awards have you been put up for and won? Because your voice has grown so much with our group. You have really put yourself out there specifically, even after you said you didn't want to. You have become a model community member for collegiate esports as a whole, because you're able to speak on the topics and you're able to talk to other people about it within groups like Wiggy, QWE, Esports and Coffee. We're not here to specifically change the world. We're here to help change the esports economy and the ecosystem.
I mean, it's true. When we started this, I said I will only be behind the scenes. I did not plan on being on stream at all. I planned on organizing everything, managing the budget, the spreadsheets, the run of show, the topics. I'll call everybody, I'll set everything up, but I did not want to speak. And I'm pretty sure Danielle was just pretended I didn't say that and just pushed me through the fire.
I don't listen very well. I mean, I
No.
do, but like
We love you for it.
we're not gonna sit here and sit idly by. Like I am not the well-spoken one. You are. So
But that's the thing to know is that like I don't know that people would think that Karen would have ever struggled with something like this because she can come on and say things so perfectly and eloquently. But of course, Karen has struggled and she pushes through and she powers through. And that's, all goes back to why making sure you have that representation is important. It took me realizing that someone needed to see me in order to be able to be the best version of themselves for me to be willing to step forward. I'm going to tell a really quick and embarrassing story before I stop talking. 2 years ago, Jacob and I went to Chicago for Esports Trade Association, where we're going again next week. And I said, I have one goal this whole trip. I'm going to talk to Joni. She's here. I know she's going to be here, and I'm going to introduce myself. I'm going to get the guts to do it. He's like, okay. And I sat around the entire day, and I just kept like, I couldn't do it. And then we went to this happy hour at a bar. I go, if I get one drink in me, then I think I can go up to her, and I'm going to say something to her, and I'm going to talk to her. And he's like, okay. And I got a drink, and I sat there, and Joey was there, and I was like, diffusing with Joey, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to get closer. You're sitting at a table. I was like, do you think I couldn't do it? And I couldn't do it. And I was like, I can't. I didn't have the guts to. I didn't have the comfort to. I didn't have the confidence to. I was like, I can't do it. And he made so much fun of me because he saw me hug you at the NACE convention. And he's like, man, if I think back to when it took you an hour and a half to even like your face was red and you're like walking closer to her and you wouldn't talk to her and you're so scared. And there's a lot that can be said for like when somebody comes and grabs you by the hand and pulls you to where you need to go. Because that was 2021 Chicago that happened, and that was not that long ago, and now here we are. So first steps. Yeah,
I had no idea.
Yeah, I was so scared. I was like, I can't talk. I'm too scared. I couldn't do it.
You needed me in the room. You would have been so mad at me. It's fine.
Danielle really pushed you into me. Yeah. No,
yeah, I'd been like, hi, we're here. She's been wanting to talk to you. She's like, she has your t-shirt. I don't know.
Can you sign it? Yeah.
Yeah, can you sign it?
Introduced. I think Danielle introduced herself and said, hi, I'm your new best friend when we were at NACE. I was like, oh, that's good to know. Thank you.
Really Did I? Oh, man. Listen, sometimes like in social environments, obviously I'm super social, we know this, but like it's almost like, I don't want to say a superpower, but something just kind of like takes over sometimes and I don't really know how it happens. But my friend Christy was like, I just really enjoy watching you at a social event because no one does it like you. And I'm like, stop. It's just talk to people. And she's like, you just don't get it. And I'm like, no, it's not. Come on, you could do it. Just come with me. She's like, I can't, Danielle, I can't. I'm like, okay.
I think it's a really good call out though too, because we'll create these programs and they're free to access and they're addressing the exact situation that you need to get addressed, and we have to run them 2 to 3 times before we get enough people to really jump in and sign up and take advantage of the programming. And a lot of times it's again that representation where they need to see someone who looks like them be successful in that program so that they don't feel like they're taking up somebody else's spot, and we have people constantly who are mentees or mentors on the program that are going, I feel like I took someone else's spot. So I'm going to really push myself to do this program because I know, there are 500 applicants and I was one of 50 that were chosen. And so I need to really, really push myself in this space. And it's like, that's amazing. But at the same time, you could take the learning that you get and just like share it, just let people know, just kind of keep it going. I remember we teach people how to introduce themselves at a Get in the Game program, and it's just a 3-sentence approach of what do you want to be called, what do you want to be known as for doing, and then what do you want out of the conversation. So hi, I'm Joni, I'm the CEO at Wiggy, and I am trying to get a job with this company, and as soon as you know what I'm trying to do, you can start to have a conversation. I can't help you, but let me introduce you to somebody. That's a really great company. That's a terrible company. Having those conversations is really powerful, but having that, just really quick approach. And we have people go, can I tell these other people how to do this? Because they're introducing themselves for like 45 minutes and people are walking away before they're done. And I'm like, yes, of course you can. Please share this. Tell everybody. We want more people to have that access and opportunity to be able to introduce themselves, have this actionable way to kind of move things forward. And I think that's a really big thing is, when we're talking about representation as well, is if you look at a company structure and you don't see anybody who looks like you in C-suite or VP positions, you're probably not going to apply to that company. So when we're talking about it being top down, it's not just having the conversations or putting on the badge or the sticker and pretending like you have a DEI initiative. It's actually having people in those spaces who are speaking to those initiatives, who are representing that for other people to be able to really draw more people into the conversation. So I wish you said hi to me at Chicago, but
no. I would now. I'm a different person now. I found esports and coffee, and now I talk to people all the time.
Was your first panel with me?
No, she tried to get me to do, it was MegaCon Orlando, like 2018. She was still at Park when she tried to force me to do it. She still was.
You didn't do it, or you did do it?
I actually didn't. I couldn't make that one, but then she just started harassing me. Asking me very persuasively for multiple things from there on out.
And look at you now. So AJ is the reason you're here at Esports and Coffee. It's not me. That's why you're on stream.
AJ.
It's AJ. She's not here to defend herself.
So I'll do this in her honor because this is how she cheers things on.
I
can't use it by her a McFlurry.
I know. Karen, I feel like you've been about to say something 14 times and I keep talking over you.
No. I always have like something stupid to say. My mom's
not stupid. Don't
no,
say
my mom
that.
always says Karen always has something to say. That's what she always says about me. And in that way too. But I think, one of the things that Sarah, you were talking about all of us dealing with things. And I think that form of representation, not just I see someone who physically looks like me or I can identify with or sort of grab a hold of, but this idea that we are all human, and that like I struggle all the time with just imposter syndrome and, validation in a room and just being tired, going from one thing to another and staying organized and the pressures of being a mom, a mentor, like there's just so much that everybody is dealing with. And I think that idea of being empowered when you are in a position where people look up to you, like a teacher or a mentor or something like that, to share and say, because there is pressure to just put on that face and say I'm perfect and that's it, and I can do no wrong, and it's easy for me because then it feels like people will choose you again. Oh, well, that you did that so effortlessly, so you must be able to do it again. But I feel like it's becoming more common for people to speak about mental health issues, about their past with depression, with whatever the case may be. And I think that is going to make a better situation for everyone, because our young people are here, right? They're supposed to be discovering themselves in undergraduate, discovering their passions, putting themselves in awkward positions to say, well, this is not where I came from, but this is a new perspective. I had a student, we're a Catholic institution. He said, I'm not religious. Should I go to this mass for, for the incoming students? I said, if you want to go and just see what it's about. You might leave and think, that was interesting. Maybe I'll go again. You might leave and think, I hated it, and both, situations coming out of that are valid, because you are trying to put yourself in situations that are new and trying to push your bounds. And I think that's really the purpose of that agency idea of finding comfort in a location that you can go and learn. I mean, that's why you're here. Ask questions. As an undergraduate student, you have a license to ask questions, and even as we age out of that, there's still ability to ask questions when you don't understand. And, I think at the end of the day, in high school, I was like painfully quiet. And even as a young professional, I didn't really find my voice. I'm an artsy kid, right? So I do art, I express myself in different ways. And it was only until I decided, like, I am going to have a voice, right? And I was empowered by that because of my community. So I think that that's part of what, esports and coffee is trying to do in different communities like NACE, and, is to be that community around people that they can say, these are my people. I can stand up and say something that isn't, it's not going to be taken as outrageous because we're all kind of coming from the same sort of realm. And what I was saying before is my two daughters just started watching Qatar, Korra, the Avatar, The Last Airbender.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so it's like the second one right after the original one. And in the first episode, I'm not spoiling anything, it's literally the first episode. The Avatar is like this all powerful, being or whatever. They can control all the elements. So it's this little girl who has this ability, and they never really know who's going to be, but we find out that it's this little girl in like the South lands or whatever. And she comes like bursting into the door and she's like, I'm the Avatar, deal with it. And I just like love this idea for my little girls to be sitting on the couch watching this girl just like know who she is, bust into a room and just be like, this is it, deal with it. And I think that there's something to that as we start to see young girls and marginalized communities and even young men, because I do think that even if you are a young white man, like you do have privileges, but that doesn't mean like you are comfortable in your skin, and you can learn just as much from this kind of talk as any other person. So it's just that idea of community is agency and empowerment.
Man,
Mic
that's
drop.
huge.
Is that you just a mic
Mhm.
drop?
It is such a mic drop.
Just-
Like, how
I
do you
will-
how do you respond? Go ahead, Sari. Come up
Okay.
with something.
Well, I'm not going to come up with something because I can't respond, but we are approaching 7 o'clock and we got a couple more things to cover, but these conversations are just so good. So I feel like before we start wrapping the discussion, which we'll want to for sure continue and enjoy having everybody here, our goal here and our mission here is always to do better. So if you'll notice the conversations that we always have here, is there a bit of acknowledging that there's a problem and talking through what the problem is? Absolutely. But our focus is on what we can all do to fix it, and what we can all do in baby steps in order to do better. So would love to go around the room and hear if anybody has a moment that they want to share where they were able to be an ally, or someone was an ally for them, or someone showed support for them that made such a big difference in any part of their lives, whether work, otherwise, gaming, esports, or otherwise. If anybody has a good thing to share of how it's been working to prove that it works.
I'm gonna start off.
Yeah.
And
Okay,
only most
crickets.
recently, and I did say this before, but the Wiggy mentorship program, when I joined one of the intro discussions, where after I brought up that my age and that it's not too late to get started, it started a discussion, and I don't think it was gonna go that way, but within all the mentees, they're like, I'm so glad that you said that you're starting your career now. I feel like at 26, I can't start a new career or get into esports, or I don't even know if I want to, or my skin isn't so thick, so how am I supposed to work in a male-dominated industry? I think just being in that conversation with the mentees and trying to promote the do better experience, which we're still defining, but just being able to tell them that it's okay to start a change, and that was my my one thing that just happened recently, and I'm so happy that I was able to be part of Wiggy's mentorship program.
I have a lot of did I cut you off, Joni? I'm sorry. Okay. I want to give somebody credit that I don't think I give nearly enough credit for being a supporter, because that person is really, really behind the scenes. So, and I don't know that he's watching. My Rocket League coach, Kyle, So Kyle is the nicest guy ever. I finally figured out that Kyle is my Jacob, which is Sari's person that is continued support. And he has like uplifted me and continued to tell me that I am the reason that people keep coming to our team and staying on our team, because I'd be like, well, they're just coming, not that I don't think I'm great, but like it's just at some point, maybe it's just the school, why are the alumni coming back to help me? Why is this way? And he's like, Danielle, it's you. You are the reason that the students continue to come. You're the reason I stay. I wouldn't stay here if you were a horrible boss or you were a horrible person. And you don't ever give yourself enough credit as a person. So please stop doing that. And then there's been a few things with being like ending up I ended up being a finalist for the Gamehers Award, and he said, I told you, is this enough for you to finally believe me? And I was like, I don't know if I'll ever be able to push down the self-doubt. I think that's a lifetime of childhood trauma and female trauma in there, but like I will try to listen to you, Kyle. So thank you, Kyle.
I think
I'll go ahead, Chris.
well, first, I just want to thank you all again for the invitation to be here and speaking with you. Moment of vulnerability here. Like, I can't understate the meaning and that you all chose me to come talk about allyship and things like that. That's something that's very special to me that I got invited to be here. So, like, thank you for just allowing me to be here and chat with you all today. When it comes to like DEI initiatives or being an ally or being somebody who's a supporter, I think for me the thing I always say is that it's something that you do purposefully, not passively. And so like very much thinking about what you're doing, taking steps. It doesn't have to be huge steps, right? Like, as Danielle and Jackie have said, just take a step, right? One step, one foot in front of the other, and then keep going from there, right? Listen, as I talked before, gather as much information as you can, make a plan, and then start down the road of that plan. I also want to I can't understate the importance of when it comes to being an ally of doing things in person for your students, especially when you're trying to like change behaviors or create like positive habits within students. I think online gaming and esports a lot of times kind of dehumanizes people because more often than not, I'm not sitting next to somebody. That person's behind another screen. And most of the time I can't even see them, right? And so having somebody next to you, building those connections, building those relationships, and understanding that like everybody on your team or in that game is a person, I think can have a really positive impact on creating better habits and securing positive change for the future. But yeah, just be purposeful in what you're doing. Like, when I was thinking about my program and like what games we wanted to play, the opportunity to implement DEI initiatives within those games was 100% a factor in what we were doing. There's a reason we picked Valorant, right? There's a reason we picked Super Smash Brothers. Like, those are both games that down the line, it may not be day one, right? But we have plans and we are putting the systems in place so that we can promote positive change through those. So it's just something to think about with your programs.
Man, Harper gets to grow up with Chris Bilski as her dad, and I don't know if anybody could be any luckier than that, because that is really great. Alyssa, you were going. I just was.
You're good. Good transition. I wanted to talk about kind of my experience with allyship, and this was a topic that came up with actually Joni's talk at the NACE convention, and helping the people around us like see their value, see their skills. That was something that really echoed with me with Joni's talk. But after that talk, kind of reflecting on how others have done that for me in the past year. So I just completed like my first year's full-time job in esports, and I've had a lot of people being allies for me. One being the Women in Ace group. You guys, a lot of you guys are a part of that. And Joey especially, and pushing me towards opportunities. I think being first year, first job, but I do have years of experience being in esports and coaching and learning about what's going on in the industry, I still find myself questioning, like, do I know what I'm talking about? Am I qualified to talk about collegiate esports? And I was part of one of the first years of collegiate esports in the Midwest. Why wouldn't I know what at least is a little bit going on? So I've really appreciated like Joey specifically pushing me to go talk on panels, or Jackie saying, why wouldn't you talk on NACE? Like you are involved in competition every single day. So I've really appreciated people helping me see my value. Um, and bringing that issue to notice of other people, um, like through esports and coffee, and saying like, this is something that is going on that people struggle with and you should be aware of, and we should respect other people for the skills and the talents that they bring to the table. And I feel that I got to really benefit from you guys having a loud voice and being public allies through running for the competition council. I ran for that through NACE. There hasn't been another woman on that panel, and that's intimidating. Like, I haven't seen somebody like that. And even in the past in esports, I've been questioned for being a woman coaching a team. Like, what do you know about esports? Like, what do you know about this game? And so that is intimidating to go be involved in competition. But I feel like through having these conversations and this being a topic that is talked about in like a current issue, I guess you could call it, I feel like a lot of people were open to having those conversations with me about what is your experience, where do you come from, what do you bring to the table, and I was able to have those conversations versus just being looked over because I'm a woman. So thank you guys, and I think this conversation needs to continue.
Cheers
I
to
love
the
it.
first woman of the competition council. Cheers.
Cheers,
Hey.
cheers. My good story is going to celebrate a man we all know and love named Michael Brooks. So it was about a year ago, and there was an organization that was putting on insert virtual. It might have been 2 years ago. I think it might have been 2 years ago. There was a group that was putting on a virtual event that had a bunch of panels. Yeah, it had to be 2 years ago. And there was one that was the state of collegiate esports. And it was huge. It was like a 9 or 10 person panel of all men. And in Discord, in our group, we were all in our Women of NACE group, we were talking about it. And we were like, this is exactly what is frustrating. I wish people could see that you pick the same voice to be represented a whole bunch of times, and having various races and genders and, communities represented is how you can really articulate what the landscape of, the state of collegiate esports is. And, you don't ever realize this because he doesn't interfere or intersect in any of the conversations, but obviously Brooks is an admin in our Discord server, so he can see all of the channels, whether he's a part of them or not. And he saw us talking, and he stepped in and he said to us, I want to learn from you, because he was one of the panelists on the 10 person male panel. And he goes, what do I do? What do I do next? Tell me what you think is the right move for me, because number one, I am the only marginalized community represented on this panel, as being he was the only one from a marginalized community that was on the panel at all. And he's like, I don't want to just walk away, or else I take away the only thing there that was kind of breaking it apart, but I want to help this cause. I agree with you that it's a problem. Tell me what to do. And he sat there and he listened to us, and he took our words and he took our conversations and he brought them back to the organization, and they changed it, and they added part 2. They broke the panel into 2 parts, and they made them each a blend of different representation. Was it perfect? No. Was it a step? Yes. But he did that, and he did it on his own. Nobody went to him and said, Brooks, I can't believe you're doing this panel. No one went to him and said, help us, we're upset. He noticed that there was something wrong, and he wanted to fix it. But just like we are all talking about today, you don't always know how to fix it. And he came back to us and said, what would be the right thing for me to do here? Can we talk this out? I want to do right by both you, by my community, by this event. How do I do this? What do I do? And that was a really big defining moment for me. I had been a part of NACE for probably 3-4 years at the time, but I didn't really talk too much or know much about it. And when he did that, Brooks got my loyalty for life, because that was I I don't have the answers, but I'm here to learn them, and I want to learn them with you. And that's what I want in a leader. And that was very impactful for me.
Thank you, Michael Brooks.
Mm-hmm.
We view you as an ally. He's always so worried.
As,
that's just
so we're very over, and I just want to appreciate everyone for sticking around. And I have to reiterate, our discussions are only an hour long, and we really want to continue this discussions in our Discord. And as you can see, there's more than the normal 4 of us. This is what we want our group discussions to be bigger. Even with an hour, though, we only have 2 to 3 questions that we answered. We had 3 questions in general, but we want it to be organic. We want people to just express what they're feeling. We want it to be able to put a spark in your mind to start a discussion somewhere else. And I want to put out there, Danielle, also, when you have someone on social media that you're talking back and forth with, just set up a meeting, because the conversation you're having on social media back and forth isn't going to be the same as an in-person one-on-one conversation. It's really not. That tone isn't going to be there. That empathy or that emotion isn't going to be the same. And Danielle recently had a conversation with someone, and it changed her perspective. And I think that's why it's so hard for me to read something that I'm just going to get caught up forever in our chat on how we have been running our streams right now, but that's because we only have an hour, and I just want to reiterate that keep the discussion going elsewhere in other Discords, on social media. Create those conversations. Start that first conversation in a different scenario.
Every time somebody wants to have a fight on Twitter, I just ask them if they want to have an actual discussion. I'm like 75% successful in this so far, so like, come at me. Come on. I would love to talk. So just tell me what your thoughts are. Thank you. Anyway.
I love it. Before we wrap for the evening, we have something important that we want to make sure we plug. This weekend, the folks at Rise, which is an amazing organization based out of Canada, are putting on an event in support of, a group you may have heard of called Wiggy, which we love so much. They're raising money for Wiggy and doing a really great stream with good content and support. And a lot of our members of our Esports and Coffee community are participating in this event. So we want to give a shout out to Cody and Felly and Meg and Lindsay. They are representing on a panel for gamer girls this weekend, just kind of helping talk to young girls about gaming. Excited to get the next generation of panelists up here and talking and having their voices heard. Jackie and I will also be there talking about community and allyship. And again, we're raising all money for Wiggy. I'm going to post the donation link in the Discord, because that way, even if you can't make it, you can still donate to support one of our favorite organizations, Wiggy, which is a wonderful place to be.
Danielle, do you want to
send
tune
us
us
out?
off? Yeah, send it. There you go. What's it called?
Oh, that's me?
Yeah.
Oh, I wasn't even looking. Joni, did you want to say something?
I was just going to say thank you for promoting that. That's really cool. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Of course.
Oh, I was supposed to say that. I failed the mission. Sari writes a perfectly good scripted runner show, and I still screw it up. It's fine. So this is what I was supposed to say. So ready to laugh, Joni? Thanks, panelists. Anything you want to plug?
I think we're good, but we might be all out of coffee.
So I'll say it, Jackie. I was just making
gotta.
it was a comedic relief moment. We'll be back on August 29th, chatting about the ins and outs of women leagues and tournaments and how to make sure the good intentions are productive. Make sure you're in our Discord and follow us on social media platforms to stay up to date in programming. I screwed up and it's over here, so it should be there, but that's okay. Anyway, hey ladies and gent, and everyone in between. What are we all out of?
We're all out of coffee.
Hey, I'm drinking water though.
Same. I don't drink caffeine.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks
Bye.
for watching.
Thank you. Good to see you
Bye,
guys.
friends.